going to be talking about Overwatch. So I don't know if you've been following the news, but the release of Overwatch 2 is just on the horizon. On April 26th, we're going to get our hands on the beta. And of course, we'll be sharing more information with you as that happens. But that all said, there's a lot of significant changes that I wanted to share with you. Also, we're going to go over our last Overwatch 1 VOD today as well. So this is a Moira VOD that was sent in by a member of the NathanASMR community. And it's a Moira VOD. So we started with Moira and we'll end with Moira. I think that's a nice fitting end for the Overwatch 1 series. But don't fret, because I'll be back for the Overwatch 2 PvP, beta, and beyond. So you might have to wait a month or so. We'll see again when we can get our hands on the beta and to share with you. But I also think it's important for me to share this with you that I do have another gaming channel called REWORK Gaming. You'll see the link in my channels list on this channel here. So I thought I'd mention that in case you want to hear more about Overwatch 2. But it is a non-ASMR channel. So I want to start off today's video with, we'll just read the changes for Overwatch 2, and then we'll go ahead and dive into our last Overwatch 1 VOD. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's check this out here. So what you can see here is we've got the Overwatch 2 Alpha Hero Changes. So I got this from Overwatch Nary on Twitter. I highly recommend a follow. So let's go ahead and just read through some of this here. General changes. Ults take longer to charge. 30 to 40% slower. Just about. So that's really interesting. Lots of maps are visually different, so I don't know if you know this, but there will be day and night modes for each map. The watch point doesn't have the sun burning out your retinas and has wind. The additional boxes for cover, so again, because there's one less tank, they're going to have more cover to hide and protect yourself. The spawn room's window is also fixed, and the room itself is updated to be a command center. So we got Sunset, Iconwald, Sunset, King's Row. Tick rate of the server seems to be increased, so that'll be good for just making sure you get ultimate responsiveness. Damage to overhealth might not give ult charge. The ping system, which is really, really cool, it's going to show where the last enemy is. It's going to be showing enemies through walls. It will allow your teammates to know more information without necessarily you being in voice chat. There will be a new scoreboard as well. So that's the big changes there. And again, it'll be 5v5, so one less tank as well. Let's go ahead and read through some of the changes for each character here. Okay, so the first character we have here is Ana. Ana's biotic rifle deals more damage. 70, this says here. Sleep dart has a 15-second cooldown. The biotic grenade deals 60 damage. Ashe, the bob has 1,000 health. We have Bastion, primary fire has no recall. The configuration Assault, which has a 10-second cooldown and has unlimited ammo. So I don't know if you've seen, but Bastion has a pretty big rework. Again, he'll be able to be a lot more mobile and useful as well. He's apparently extremely powerful. There's a tactical grenade, which I've heard is not as powerful as that Assault configuration, but that tactical grenade has a 10-second cooldown. It can rocket jump and bounces off walls. Next we have Brigitte. And Brigitte, she has big changes with the shield bash, which no longer stuns, travels further, and deals 50 damage. So again, you lose the stun, which is quite big, but when you do hit with the shield, it's 50 damage. So if you hit a tracer, that's a pretty big chunk of health. This is another big change here. We have Cassidy, who has a new flashbang, which is now like a pulse bomb, which can stick to enemies, 10-second cooldown, takes 2 seconds to explode. A bit lenient on the aim, it says here, and does 125 damage. The Deadeye takes less damage while channeling it, but again, the flashbang changes are pretty significant. Next we have Diva. Total HP is now 650, 350 health with 300 armor. 3-second defense matrix and does a little bit less damage. Now we have Doomfist, who has a huge rework. Doomfist is now a tank, actually. So try to think of him in a little bit different game style as previously. So the total HP has been increased to 450 hit points. Seismic Slam, which is an 8-second cooldown, can be cancelled. Has flat damage and a wider arc, and has a shockwave-like shatter. Rocket Punch has a 3-second cooldown, can hit multiple target. Power Block has an 8-second cooldown as well. So that's really, really cool. So again, here we see these last changes. It blocks 90% of damage from the front only with the power block. If he blocks 100 damage, his next punch will be empowered, which results in a faster charge, travel distance, or further travel distance, and a longer stun, which is 1 second. If an enemy hits a wall, which again is similar in today, where if he punches you into a wall, it increases the statistics for him, damage. Genji, no changes. Hanzo, a storm arrow deals 60 damage per arrow. Junkrat, steel trap. Trap is now more of a snare, slow versus a root. Still prevents movement abilities. Slowed to 10% normal speed. Concussion Mine has a blinking light on it. Lucio has no changes. Mei has 150 ammo. Primary fire no longer freezes. That's a huge change. Deals 100 DPS. And the alternate fire uses 10 ammo. So what I've heard about Mei is that she's very, very weak, and many have put her as the worst hero in the new game. So maybe she'll have a lot more use in PvE, but as far as PvP goes, I've heard she's quite underpowered, especially because no more freezing except with her ultimate. Mercy, no changes. I've heard Mercy again is very, very powerful, as always, but particularly because of the potential for damage boosting again, because there's one less tank. Mercy doesn't have to worry about healing big tanks. They can focus on the damage boost. Moira, no changes. Again, Moira, I've heard, is a bit underpowered and is going to have some difficulties. So here's another huge one, which is Orisa. Total HP is now 500, 250 health, and 250 armor. Primary fire looks like it takes about 4 to 5 seconds to overheat, so again, the limiting factor is the heating factor, so like if you overshoot for too much, there will be heat, and she'll have to reload, or it pauses her damage ability. Orisa now has an energy javelin, which is on an 8-second cooldown. Stuns enemies and knocks them back. Javelin spin, which is a 10-second cooldown. Halt achievement is now very, very, a lot of damage. Terrible, terrible damage. Terror Surge, which is the ultimate. The voice line is now "Meet Your Fate." Takes about 4 seconds to fully channel, but can be used early, and it does 250 damage to people caught inside of it. Whatever it is, Orisa is a very oppressive hero in Overwatch 2, so be on the lookout for a bunch of new Orisa mains. Pharah, no changes. Reaper, no changes. Reinhardt, total HP is now 650, 300 health, and 350 armor. Barrier Field now has 1200 health. Fire Strike, 2 charges, deals 90 damage, so it gets a second Fire Strike. Charge is cancelable, that's really big, on an 8-second cooldown, and better control with turning. Again, I think with Reinhardt, he's a Generation 1 hero, so I've heard he's actually not very good, to be honest with you. So now we've got Roadhog, 100 additional HP, 700 HP total, and Take a Breather, which now heals for 350 health. Right, so next we have our new hero, which is Sojourn. Damage scales based on a percentage charge. 75 charge is enough to one-shot headshot. We have Power Slide on a 7-second cooldown. The Railgun charge, which gains 5 charge for normal primary fire body shots. Damage to barriers seems to give a little less charge. We have the Disruptor shot, which deals 200 damage if someone sits in it the whole time. It is on a 14-second cooldown. And the ultimate, which is Overclock, which lets you get 6 fully charged shots, again, that can one-shot headshot. So, my opinion on Sojourn seems really fun. She seems to be a bit overly tuned. My guess is we will see a nerf in fairly soon after release, is my guess, just because how I can see it looks like she'll be something that could be really abused by high skill tier players, but I could be wrong, but that's usually how it goes at Blizzard. We see that with Echo and some of the other characters too. Sigma, total HP is now 550, 350 health with 200 shields. Accretion, which deals 100 damage. Barrier health is now displayed next to your own health bar. Soldier 76, no changes. Again, I have a feeling he's going to struggle a little bit. Next we have Sombra. Hack, only 1 second to silence. Hacked targets take 40% more damage from Sombra and can be seen through walls for 8 seconds. Health packs are hacked for only 30 seconds. Taking damage while channeling hack will be put on a 4-second cooldown. Cast time is increased. EMP deals 40% of an enemy's current HP and damage and hacks targets. Stills destroys barriers. That's there. Primary fire spread reduced by 20%. Bullet damage reduced. Stealth. Sombra comes out stealth 50% faster and can hack when invisible. However, this does make you detected. The detection range is also larger. Symmetra has no changes. I think Symmetra is going to struggle as well. I've heard Symmetra is quite weak coming into Overwatch 2. Tracer. Pulse pistols do less damage, so that's a nerf. Widow, total HP is now 200. And again, why play Widow when you can play Sojourn? This will be my question. Or Ashe even. It seems Widow is probably the best sniper, but again, she only really has that one ability. Her secondary fire is just a little pea shooter, so I'm not sure why you would choose Widow at this point unless you're God tier. We have Winston. Total HP is now 550, 350 health, and 200 armor. The Tesla Cannon right-click is a charged range attack. That's a big change. Does not have an ability icon. Functions like Symmetra right-click for charging. And fully charged uses 20 ammo and deals 50 damage. The barrier projector has 800 HP and now has a timer displayed to Winston below the health bar. Jump back also has a 5-second cooldown. So now we have Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball total HP is now 700. That's huge. 550 health and 150 armor. So again, the adaptive shield grants 100 health per target in range plus 100 base. So you can easily hit that 1000 HP mark, which again is just huge. And having one tank, I think that really places a lot of emphasis on survivability for that one tank that you do choose. Zarya, I've heard also is very powerful, was 2 charge bubbles. That's insane. Total HP is now 475, 250 health, and 225 shields. Now has 2 charges for bubbles. Cooldown for bubbles is 9 seconds. Bubble can take more damage. I think it's 250 currently. Secondary fire has increased, boop. And so just having the 2 bubbles is just absolutely crazy. So you should see a lot of powerful Zaryas out there. And the last but not least, we have one of my favorites, which is Zenyatta, who has no changes. Now, again, I think Zenyatta will still be powerful, especially with the ultimate, but again, we'll see how this all plays out. All that said, I'm really excited to get my hands on the beta. So again, there's only a couple more days, just like I said, the 26th. So you should see this just very shortly. And if I do get my hands on things, I will share that, of course. But until I do, there won't be any more Overwatch content until we get Overwatch 2. So it could be a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, could be a couple months. We'll see. But hopefully sooner than later. And I'll definitely let you all know. But now that we've gone through all these changes and we went through the map changes, talked about all the big changes, and one other thing I should add here is that if you own Overwatch 1, you can play Overwatch 2 PvP. Not the PvE content, but the PvP. It will be available to you. So don't fret about that. You don't necessarily need to buy Overwatch 2. But it sounds like it's getting good reviews so far from the content creators I've seen. We'll see how that plays out later. Now, let's go ahead and dive into our last Overwatch 1 VOD, which is a Moira VOD. Thank you to Zach for sending this in. And again, Moira's not seeing any changes, so I think it's safe to say that probably the general playstyle will be fairly similar. I think the 5v5 will change things a little bit. All right, so we've got our match. We have a Junkrat, Ana, Orisa, Mei, Moira, Reinhardt, and we've got a Symmetra, Ana, Rein, Reaper, Moira, and a Zarya. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So you're on defense here on Volskaya. I'm not a huge fan of that move, only because it can be quite risky if they have a Widow. But that's decent. So we've got a little build-up on her charge. They're going to go clearly with that Symmetra turret going far over there, far side. So you're going to want to go over that way. I would just be careful here. You don't want to be going in first. Wait for your team to kind of take some position. Okay. Alright, so we're just sort of keep space here. Now, again, you're being a little aggressive. I think this is probably risky positioning. You're going to want to be a little bit back. I'm not sure where your team is at here. I wouldn't have held it. You probably would have died just in a higher rank. I would have just tried to hold back and push in with your team. They would have come in with a little stronger positioning here. Looks like they're going to wipe. Yeah, like I said, I think you got a little bit into the DPS mindset. You took up forward position. I would have faded back and really hung out with your team, healed them into the fight. now see you were over on this mega here, so you kind of were separated from them, and again, you couldn't get off your heals, which definitely is going to be a problem. You do have your ult built up here, but again, you got a wipe there, so I think I wouldn't put that all squarely in your fault at all, but I think that you were clearly in that DPS mindset. I would not have popped that there. Again, that's one of those things. I mean, Coalescence is good to pop when you can. It looks like you're going to get a pick here, so it did work out. If it was me, you're definitely going to want to be throwing a damage orb always when you do use your Coalescence. Just take that extra second to wait till you get the build up. So again, but you used it sort of when you didn't need it. I think it did put pressure on the other team in terms of keeping them on the defensive, but I think you could have gotten more value there. Probably gotten in on a pick, for example. Okay. Alright. Some little heals there. One thing is with symmetric turrets, you can always punch them. Yeah, see, you kind of, again, you're pushing you're in the front line here. If you take a step back, you'll just see with your positioning, for example, where's your tank right there? So again, your positioning is a little bit forward for my liking. I think you could do a little bit better by just holding back a little bit. So that's 2 plays right there. That seems to be the biggest problem right now. Again, you can spray. You're holding down the left click a little bit hard. I think you can just give a little bit more spray because it is a heal effect over time. All right, let's see if you can get this. Again, you're in the front position there. If you look where the rest of your team is, they're sort of backline. And now again, you're on your back foot here, pushing back. I think that was a mistake there. So yeah, really positioning is something we're seeing you need a big work on here. That was really lucky with your... I don't think you needed to pop that either. I would have held that ult again. I'm seeing a little bit of nervousness in terms of just reactionary ults and not ults that are more in your control. On that second ult, you had killed 3 and you were at your spawn, 3 people on your team were alive. I would have just held it, probably. Now, see, you would have added for this fight. Now they're going to push in really strongly. And again, if you see this, you are on your back foot again. I think there's a little lag there. I think that's something that you really could improve on. Again, sort of just fearful ults a little bit. That's all right. It looks like you may have held this here, though. You may have held on this fight. Let's see. Again, you can punch. You can punch one of those. That was probably too late at that point anyways. You guys had lost it. They're honest, putting in some work. Now again, I'm being a little harsh because I want to focus on the things that you can control. Clearly there were mistakes made by your team and everything. But just looking at that round, I think, what are the things that Zach could improve on? And I think that your positioning is number one. You're not thinking like a healer or a support. Again, it's not healer, it's support, but you're not supporting your team. You are kind of off a little bit focused on the DPS. I think that hurts you in the end. I think you could be more effective with staying a little closer to your team. I think you were a little bit generous with your spray, your healing spray. I think I would have been more just using it at the right moments. Like you were blasting heals on your Mei, for example. So with Mei, I mean, she also has self-heals too. So yeah, but just be a little more thoughtful, a little more deliberate about when you're using your heals and damage. Your ultimates were reactive. I'd like to see them in a more proactive way. Wait for the right moment to use them. line it up. I saw you sort of just popping it when you got it, which is a good strategy for Moira, but I think you could have thrown your damage orb, aimed for their opposing Ana or Symmetra, or even Moira, and melt down a target. That might have been a little bit better usage there. So again, you shouldn't be popping out first here. I hope you wait for your team to go first. See, so now again, this is reflective, I think, of just a general mindset issue. I believe you said this is gold or platinum, and I think that what I'm seeing right now is some, you're trying to do too much. You're playing a very flanky, again, look where you are. You're located on the side here. Your team is nowhere to be found. They're on the complete opposite side or flanking, and you're by yourself over here. So I think this positioning is your big Achilles heel. You need to be with your team at all times if you can, with the occasional flank. So as you can see, you're pretty much over here alone. Your tanks, your DPS, they're all over there. You do have a soldier with you, but you're doing a little too much here. Like I said, you want to be more deliberate about where you're positioned. Let's melt down this Ana if you can. That's unfortunate. The Ana did die, so that was good, but I'm just seeing I think just, again, maybe one way that would help you would be to just take deep breaths. I love ML7 who does stuff like that, where he just, shows that like Zen moment. But I think for you, this could really help. I'm seeing you getting kind of lost in the mix, in the fight. I think if you just take a deep breath, audible deep breath, slow down for a second, put some real thought into when you're using your ult. So here we've got 94%. Let's see if we can do this the right way here for this ult. Again, look for the right target. Okay, decent. That was good heals. Ooh, look at that. Moira, you almost had her. Yep. So I would say that was better, but again, I am seeing you get a little bit lost with your targets. It's hard to, I'm not sure how to improve on finding the right targets except for really calming yourself and breathing and understanding, like, because everyone is running around like their chicken cut off of their head at this rank especially. And so if you're deliberate, you stay alive, you'll be able to get that pick and it will make a huge difference. Everyone else is just playing reactively. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to get this. This is a very 2CP scenario. Okay. All right, so I think you guys will win this, it looks like, or at least that round right there. You have a huge advantage, 424 to 156. Again, your team lucked out, and you played well that round, but I think, again, the things I'm noticing are really that positioning is huge. Play with your team, try to be providing value at all times. If you're healing your team, then you're opening them up to make better plays. What I'm seeing for you is you were flanking over on the far side there when your other team, 4 out of the rest of your team, was on the other complete side of the map. So just take an extra deep breath and it will help a lot. I think just overall, like I said, I think this may be an issue of, well, first of all, character selection and everything. Is Moira the best call for what you have right now? Probably not. Moira has a lot of difficulty at high ranks in GM and high masters. But for the rank you're at, Moira's great. I personally stopped really playing a lot of Moira. She's had some on and off seasons, but what Moira brings is raw healing power and survivability. So in this situation, in the lower ranks, you probably bring in a lot of value here, but with players who know how to utilize what a Lucio and a Zenyatta can bring, then it's a lot more powerful to choose them. But again, let's go back to that. I'd like to just stop for a second because Let's see if we can just, you can see there, look, you're throwing heals. You have a lot of heals. Third damage orb. I'm not sure why you did that. I would have bounced a healing orb on the truck there. Again, I don't see you. I don't know if you hold down your heals here. Let's see. You just kind of, you're damaging. All right, so I mean, this is clear cut as day right there. You were damaging, and you have almost an entire full bar of health here, and you could have easily been pumping out way more heals there. That was an unfortunate situation. And again, it seemed like you were just kind of nervous, and you have a DPS mindset that's really hurting you right now. Healing should be your most important thing. You're supporting. That's the role. You're supporting. You're not the main thing, but you're not their heal bot, but you're mostly supporting and enabling the rest of your team. I would just back out here. This is a needless death for sure. Yeah, at that point, there's just no reason to kill your. Now you're, resetting yourself. You have to run back to your team. That's one of those scenarios. You just have to just read the room and it's over. You're not going to 1v6. It's happened, but it's 1 in a million. Heal. Let's get this heal. Try to pump out healing. Again, too many damage orbs. I'm seeing the damage orbs aren't that powerful. They are getting you some healing, but you're going to get a faster ultimate with the use of your heals. So that's the goal, is to pump out those coalescences. That's unfortunate. Not sure what she was thinking there. We have a stagger. Again, you're in the front position. You just clearly can see that that's one of your biggest problems. You just get a little bit aggressive, reaction, a little fearful, and you're really wanting that DPS, and I think that's hurting you. So for sure, that's just going to be something you need to improve. I haven't seen you really drain your full heal bar, actually, which is kind of surprising. It's usually the opposite, but for you're just DPSing so much. All right, let's heal. You have a lot of heal juice there. No need to DPS there. Again, that's another thing I'm trying to say is there's a perfect example. Your team is really low on health, and you're sort of unnecessarily DPSing here. Again, everyone was on low health. If you had really pumped out the heals, you might have been able to push through that. So it's unfortunate. Maybe your team can hold this. Let's see what happens. Okay, and full on heals. All right, so did they get that? It doesn't look like they capped it. It seems like they just got 58% there. So again, I'm seeing a bit of a DPS Moira mindset. I think that you should focus on supporting your team. Ask yourself, where are you? Where should you be? Where's your team? How can you help them the best? Right now, I'm seeing a mindset of like, I'm going to get this sweet pick off Vaughn in the back line, or, again, I haven't seen you use your full health bar. So you're not healing enough. That's one of my first things there. And then your positioning is a bit off as well. So now if you go back here, let's just rewatch this exit here, because your tank should be in front of you. There's no reason you should be out there in front taking those hits. Let's just see. So you go out pretty much first. Your Zarya's not even there yet. Your Soldier's out, but again, you're a Moira. You're not DPS. So you can just see immediately positioning is just crushing you right now. I think that was a death. Your team is already in the back line there. That was an unfortunate moment there. All right, we're pushing in. Again, you can punch those. I wouldn't suck those. That's a lot of extra time wasted. Left side, I would definitely need to go take the high ground with your team there if you can. Okay. You're not really doing anything here. You're sort of just, I mean, if you just see there, you're just sort of sitting there. You're not helping your team, really thinking about where your team is at. And that was just definitely, again, reflective of just the general mindset you seem to have here with Moira, which is that you should be DPSing. Again, your DPS is weak as Moira. You're not. Your other DPS and tanks are going to do a lot more damage if you support them. So, for you, it's one of those things where you do have a lot of skills here. I see the beginnings of a good Moira player, but I'm seeing somebody who's trying to do too much. Somebody who's DPSing 50% too much. Again, here you are in the front line. Should be giving heals. Again, that worked out that time, but it's 50-50 if that's going to work out long term. So, like I said, I would just rethink your overall philosophy with Moira. Try to focus more on what you're providing. Your team luckily got that, but it was close. All right, so you have your ultimate here. Let's see if you use it in the right way. I'm a little concerned if we'll be using a reactive and or you'll use it the first second that you can when going in here. Let's just see what happens. I wouldn't have used my fade there. Again, maybe fade usage could be a little more thoughtful because, again, you're going to want to just have it available. You never know. Tracer could be waiting in the back line, so just don't want to use it if you don't need to. I wouldn't use it. Don't use it. No. All right. I think, again, that was like the same issue, kind of, which is that you're just sort of not supporting as much as I'd like to see. All right. So you got 152. I would definitely run away here. They're not going to make it. I would just run if you can. Definitely don't want to die there needlessly. Okay. But again, you see, throwing a lot of damage orbs. That's your number one focus. I think you can just see in your play style. That's the issue that you're having. You need to, again, think like a support, even though you're Moira. Okay. So we only have 1 minute left. I think you could build up a coalescence here, possibly. Okay, you're just sort of AFK there. That might have hurt. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Rhine got their charge actually from that for their Earth Shatter. You can see on there. Okay. Well, you don't need to do anything fancy. Just heal up here. You had half your heal bar. All right, help your Ana if you can. There, your Ana's gonna die in the back line there. Okay, well, the Ana didn't die, but the rest of your team did. I will say, you know what? I am noticing your sensitivity is a little bit high here. I would really recommend a reduction in your sensitivity. I can see it's like 1 or 2 points too high. Notches, whatever you want to say. Again, with Moira, you don't need to look around that much. You want a steady damage. All right, so that all said, thank you so much for sending that in. I think you have some really great skill. You seem to have the desire to improve. We've talked a bunch about Moira, about Overwatch via email, Zach, so I really have a lot of hope for you. And again, we're moving into Overwatch 2, so everything will be a lot different. But with Moira, I think the things that you really need to focus on, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but try to stay a little bit back behind your team. Be a support. Don't worry about damage orbing all the time. Your heals will build your coalescence faster, so you actually can get more kills by healing more, if that makes sense. But it also, keeping your DPS and your tanks alive will allow you to get more kills as well. There's great on a line, but do less. In this instance, you're trying to take on too much DPS. And I know the frustration, so that's why I recognize it. But that's pretty big. I'd save your fades for more important moments again. There were no flankers there, but you never know. A Tracer, Genji, Doomfist, whoever is back there. If you use your fade, you're not going to have an escape, so I would save it for when you need it. The other thing that I think would be really important is being less reactive with your coalescence. I saw just a little bit too much using it as fast as possible with no foresight into just like, how am I going to use this to melt a certain character or not? So before I use my coalescence, I always think, okay, I'm going to melt down the Zenyatta or I have a few characters that I'm aiming for. And that really can help a lot. So, but most importantly, the positioning is huge. You took the front line maybe 5-6 times before your tanks were there, which you died and then kind of wiped the team. So that all said, thanks again, Zach, for sending this in. Thank you for I think it's been 3 years, 2 or 3 years that we've been doing the Overwatch 1 series. And I just want to thank all of the people out there who sent in a VOD, who worked with me to just talked about Overwatch. Many of you did not get a chance to have your VODs reviewed. So if you want to, if you have sent something in before, just let me know. Email me at NathanASMRs@gmail.com. And just let me know you sent in a VOD earlier, or maybe you haven't and you want a VOD reviewed in the future. But for now, that is the end, finite, of the Overwatch 1 series. And we'll move into Overwatch 2 as soon as we get our hands on it, whether that's a couple days from now on the 26th or a couple weeks. But it will happen soon. But again, we have a small break here. And again, thank you so much for joining me for this series. And I'll see you in the next video, which is going to be my most ambitious yet. So thank you for sticking around. And yes, only a couple days till the Overwatch beta. Let's go. Have a good one.